So the Secular Student Alliance seeks to normalize secular identity and spread secular values. Secular values are values that are focused on the well-being of the current and future world. We do this work, as you might have heard, by empowering secular students who share our goals. I hope that all of us in this room want to help the future world be a better place than the current world. And I see anyone who takes action to that end as an activist. And thus, whether you embrace the label or not, actually I'm really curious, I see all of you as activists. Who sees themselves as an activist? Okay, yeah, all right, good deal, okay. Good. I thought I was spot on about that, but it's always good to know. As I don't really need to tell you, being an activist can be very hard work. There is not a script. You are going to have failures. You are going to make mistakes. In order to keep your spirits high, it is very important to celebrate those who have gone before you. And that is what we are here to do tonight. Every year since 2004, the Secular Student Alliance has recognized someone who has gone before us and who has lived the kind of life we would like to live. A life of action. In the form of the Secular Student Alliance's Backbone Award, we recognize an activist who's contributed to bettering the world in such a profound way that determination, courage, and intelligence were merely the beginning of what described the qualities that they needed in order to reach their goals and to make the accomplishments that they made. They also needed persistence and grit, backbone, if you will. Tonight's winner represents an exciting new direction for the Backbone Award. For the last 11 years, we've honored someone who has been motivated by their secular values to make the secular movement a stronger movement. Tonight we honor someone who's been motivated by their secular values to make a highly related but different movement better. In this case, the transgender rights movement. This winner's story beautifully illustrates how powerfully secular values can shape a life of activism. So, in the 1960s and 70s, our winner had two sets of experiences which set her on her course. The first happened while she was traveling in Europe and was in Venice's San Marcos Square. And in the talk of the evening, overheard someone who knew someone who knew someone who someone's cousin had made a gender transition. And that was the first time she'd ever heard somebody making that kind of change. A few years later, in Seattle, in Pike's Place Market, while browsing the various items on the, for sale at Pike's Place Market, she saw a copy of American Atheist magazine. This was pre-internet, or at least widely accessible internet, you don't work for the DARPANET internet. She'd already left behind religion on her own. But this was the first time she had seen evidence of others who had also left it behind and were right then standing up and doing something about it and being public about their thoughts and critiques and identity. Both of these events proclaimed powerfully that she was not the only one, and even more importantly, that there was something to do about it. That there was a way to live authentically in the world, and others were doing it, and she could do it too. These two events set her on the path of founding the Ingersoll Gender Center in Seattle, Washington. The Ingersoll Gender Center has been around since the late 1970s and has provided the longest continuously running support group for transgender and gender nonconforming people. It does all sorts of other amazing things as well. It connects people to medical providers who understand and affirm their patients, and it also works with medical providers so that they do a good job of understanding and affirming all of their patients. It works with state and local government to advocate policies which are fair to transgender and gender variant people. It provides trainings to schools, nonprofits, and businesses that are interested in being more sophisticated about gender, and it does many other things. As you might have guessed, the Ingersoll Gender Center draws its name from the great agnostic, Robert Ingersoll. Ingersoll lived in the last 2/3 of the 19th century. He was a lawyer, a Civil War veteran, and a very popular orator. He actually might have been the most popular orator of his day. The Chicago Tribune reported in 1876 that the crowd drawn to one of his speeches that year was the largest audience ever drawn by one man in Chicago. And Tribune estimated the number of people at least 50,000 people. And this is back in 1876, when the population of the United States was about 1/10 the size it is now. So if you multiply that out, it's like a crowd of 500,000 now. Ingersoll earned his nickname the Great Agnostic by speaking frequently about the power and moral superiority of putting the well-being of the present and future world first in one's mind. The tagline of the Ingersoll Gender Center is "The time to be happy is now," which is drawn from an Ingersoll quote, which makes clear the philosophical underpinnings of the center. And that longer quote is, "Happiness is the only good. The time to be happy is now, the place to be happy is here, and the way to be happy is to make others so." Through the Ingersoll Gender Center and her service as co-chair of the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, the Out in Front Leadership Project, being one of the faculty members of the Los Angeles Gay and Lesbian Center's Emerging Leaders Program, and so many other amazing contributions, she has helped thousands upon thousands of people have the support and courage they needed to make the changes necessary to be happy now. And to quote our winner, "Change is rarely ever easy, yet thoughtful, honest, hard-earned change is the only thing that has ever saved a person or a nation." Even now, our winner is playing an incredibly important role in creating change both in the LGBTQ movement and the secular movement by encouraging them to work together much more closely. And the SSA is incredibly proud to be part of that change. Please join me in welcoming and honoring the 2015 Secular Student Alliance Backbone winner, Marsha Botzer. Photos here.
Oh my goodness. All right. Are you allowed to be that happy? August, thank you so much. I think my work here is almost done. You did such a tribute. I thank you. I cannot thank you enough, but I can thank you. I can thank you because you're the real reason we're here. You're the real reason this is all happening. Goodness sakes. What a day. I've only been able to come for this one day, but I've crammed in as much as I possibly can, and it has been thrilling and wonderful. So goodness sakes, many, many thanks. All right, well, you know, I have the honor today of a couple of times to come before you and speak, and receiving this magnificent award is the first, so I'll speak in terms of awards, and then a little later maybe we can have a conversation and the other thing. So I just tell you, time is a strange thing. It's still very clear. Here's another story. Very clear, I can still remember. It was, again, in the 60s. I had taken a summer job, to make a little money. It was a job in construction. So I jumped in a car with a supervisor. They drove me out to the job, and we parked by this big hole in the ground, and we got out. Somebody handed me a shovel, and the supervisor said, "Okay, all I want from you now is assholes and elbows." Yeah, in other words, get to work. Start digging that hole. And I tell you, really, you know, that effort led to years of work with unions and businesses, and years of going back to school, and a lifetime of training and organizing and struggle across many divides and many conversations. It also pushed me into the real-life discovery of social and political troubles of that day. That's actually what took me to Paris, that story, Paris in '68, for the students and workers struggle. Oh, what a training and lesson that was. It was there on that trip that story that you heard occurred. Yes, indeed, I heard that. There was the message, finally, real and true before me, that I wasn't the only one. I think we've all had that feeling at one time or another in these various movements of ours, but I tell you what, when that happened, it was like a thunderclap. Yes, it was. I came back and I tried to find some help. It didn't work very well, but I will say, Whenever something like that, this is why speaking out is so important. Whenever something like that happens, you change a life. Speak out as you do, you will change lives on and on and on, because you know what? At that time, the old-time religion and its many new versions, that monster, had put me in a place of feeling very, very badly about myself. Incidentally, it wasn't my family, it wasn't their take on the world. It was the result of my own little trip into trying to understand things and finding religion and all of that sort of thing. It was before the construction job I just told you about. But that moment, when I heard that story, that was really the beginning of an awareness in my life. It was a moment that opened me fully and wholly to social justice work and to challenging the dogmas and the rock-hard superstitions of this world. And when I got that message, it opened more than I could ever have expected. Discoveries, experiences, trips, my goodness sakes, work and travel, learning, ideas, reasons, friends, activists, teachers. It took me into the emerging lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer movement. We didn't even have all those names at that time. It took me across the world. It took me onto boards of directors and commissions and startups and national and international work and rallies and marches, everything. My goodness sakes, the power of such events. I tell you, and all that religious rot from the past, it faded away, and life was clearer. Yes, it was. It was clearer in a lifetime of work and wins and losses. Oh, yes, many, many losses. All that flowed and followed. So I am thanking you for this award. My goodness sakes, I do thank you for this kind of award, and I accept it with joy. And also, in the name of all that you will do, yes, may you occupy 1,000 stages and win 10,000 awards and do the good work of the world. Yes, because the work most required today, when so many ask fantasy to save them, dreaming and desperate that empty thinking will stop the burning forest, the drying lakes, and the vanishing schools. No, it will not. It will not do that. We will do it. We will have to do it. And what a time it is in which we are going to do this work together. It is one of so much turmoil and division. As individuals become islands and wild greed accumulates, as hard study is trumped out into the world as calculated stupidity. My goodness sakes, and sweet, careful thought is crushed by rough simplicity. Yet, we are here and we are ready. We are ready to argue and to struggle and to welcome conversation and cheer the rise of secular power and hope. For we are not alone anymore. Allies rise up everywhere, and every day thousands of minds decide against religion, and they crave more from life than that, wanting so much to join us in our considerations. And you, my friends, you welcome us. You welcome us all as you did welcome me and the lesbian and the gay and the bisexual and all the letters of our movement you have welcomed. So I say to you, pursue with avid and unwavering energy your free life, your study, your work, your politics, your organizing, teaching, all of it. Oh, my friends, I am so happy to be here with you, to have gone from fear and isolation to possibility, understanding, action, from singular organizing to the united work of many, from the basement meetings to the White House, for goodness sakes, from here to around the world, to meet so many grand people, have innumerable experiences. And like you, my friends, like you, to begin as you begin, here, building this foundation in reason, this life among the thinking of the world, I say, there is no better way to spend your heartbeats than in the service of justice, of reason, and of others. Let your hearts beat for justice. your mind work for secular truth, and you will gain the chance to change worlds. You will also gain, my friends, you will also gain the wonderful chance that on some long, distant, sunlit morning, you will sit in peace and know, really know, that you gave your best to the great projects of intelligence, science, self-discovery, unity, and love. The only powers that can stand against the weight of mad belief. The future rises, the age demands, and your time has come round at last. Our time. Thank you for this opportunity, for this award, and for the hope. Thank you for the future. Yes, Robert Greene Ingersoll, absolutely. The time to be happy is now. The place to be happy is here. And the way to be happy is to make others so. You are doing it. I thank you, my friends.